We do have the right to freedom of speech in this country, don't we?
Yeah, you do. Yeah, you
okay,
do.
so
but
there
are also laws of disrupting public meetings,
yeah,
okay? And if you do that, you will be arrested.
I promise I will.
So the other evening I had the great pleasure of spending time with Johnny and Matthew from Gloucester. Now you might remember those two went in and caused a little bit of mayhem at their council by serving them notice on the fraudulent 5G applications that they'd passed. Johnny was the cameraman who filmed it upside down, and Matthew was the one going in serving notice. Here's a quick clip from what happened.
This is the Declaration of Conformity to protect the members of the public from radiation. Free UK Limited hasn't existed since 2015. So Companies House said they cannot be issuing any safety certificates. The Planning Inspectorate is fully aware that everyone here is complicit in fraud. So what are we going to do about it? This begins it. This is the fraud you are committing. That company does not exist.
So we had a fantastic chat, a lot of which probably won't be able to go into this video because it's not YouTube friendly, let's say. But I'll put in as much as I can because the guys have done some great work in Gloucester and it's something we can all learn from. And there's something coming up that Matthew is doing that is rather time sensitive, which is why this video has bumped ahead of the long-awaited Sudbury video. I promise that will be next. So I asked Matthew how he got started with 5G.
In Gloucester, they haven't carried out any of the legally required public consultations. They've put a tower up opposite my house and I've got metal implants from riding motorbikes badly for years. So I'm not covered under the IPNA certificates.
In case you didn't see the interview Karina and I did with 5G campaigner Ian Jarvis, ICNIRP is the International Commission on Non-Ionising Radiation Protection, allegedly the safety guidelines, and they clearly state that implants, because of the conductive nature of metal implants, the ICNIRP guidelines do not cover anybody with implants.
So we've looked into it, and the certificates of conformity that they must provide have come from a company called 3 UK Limited, which was dissolved in 2015. So it isn't a legal entity, hasn't got any directors, hasn't got any insurance, and hasn't got any liability for these products. That's confirmed by Companies House. It's been confirmed by the Planning Inspectorate and the Society of Radiological Protection. Have all confirmed that this is fraud. So we've reported that to Gloucestershire Constabulary, which, as we know, they run a two-tier policing system these days where they like to charge the public money, but if you're a councillor or an MP or working for the government, you're basically untouchable. So that's gone to their Deputy Chief Commissioner, and he's forwarded that on to the head of the local economic fraud division. So we're looking at that at the moment, and as soon as we notified the council, the planning officer resigned, and we found out at the meeting last night another 6 councillors, including the compliance officer, have handed in their letter of resignation yesterday as well. So
wow, they haven't reacted like that at Colchester. They've just said we're doing nothing wrong and it's fine.
Yeah.
So if we're here to do your job, those ones down the front, can you go and arrest them, please?
We're not going to do it that way.
Right. So can you leave and you're dismissed? We don't require. If you're not going to do your job, we don't require you.
We've been asked to come here.
Yes. Well, I'm now asking you to leave.
No, we've been asked to come here. You've had your time.
I haven't had my time. I've got to here, and they've stopped me because they're committing malfeasance in a public office, and they don't want to discuss it. So, are you going to breach my human rights and deny me the right to speak?
Well, they've asked you to.
Are you going to breach my human
They've
rights?
asked you to leave and you've refused to leave.
Because this is a public building and a public meeting.
He's got a question.
I've got a question which my human rights say I'm allowed to ask. The head of the European Commission on Human Rights was in Reuters today saying that human rights have to be obligated.
It doesn't look like a question, that looks like war and peace.
You can actually put a speech in, they haven't recorded them on that.
War and peace, what school did you go to?
There's a preamble.
A preamble.
Every question has a preamble, otherwise you won't understand it.
Justifying the question.
Yeah,
sorry, Constable.
You have to have a bit of background to it, don't you?
I don't know much about what's happened previous. They've asked you to leave.
Yes, it's a public building.
Are you going to...
It's a public meeting.
Are you going to leave?
Are you going to arrest the criminals?
No.
You have malfeasance in a public office.
You need to have a necessity for arrest.
Yeah, you have malfeasance in a public
You're
office.
dismissed, constables. We're dismissing you.
Right, that was very childish, wasn't it? With the request, Freedom of Information request sent to the council in 2023, showed 35 pre-approved applications, all of which showed no evidence of any meaningful consultation with the public. There were a grand total of 5 objections for the entire 35 pre-approved applications, all of which were submitted by email, and one person specifically commented the application was unavailable on the planning portal. Are you aware of your legal responsibilities to consult the public? Are you aware of the gunning principles? The government have made it very clear that a greater level of consultation is needed for ground-based mass. So why are you failing to do this?
Gloucester City Council is aware of its legal obligations regarding public consultation and is satisfied that all requirements are met. With residents, there are many residents that do not object and welcome the benefits of 5G mass.
Where's the consultation?
What are the benefits?
You've omitted 3 miles.
I'm now going to leave the meeting, and we will see you in court. Consultation been done, and the council have admitted it. You will be sued in your personal and private capacity under
So, what made you start to look into 5G in this manner? Because we'd came across it with Ian Jarvis's work. He told us. So, how did you find out?
Well, we've got a guy down here called Steve, who's an absolute wealth of knowledge on 5G. He's doing lots of brilliant work, going for a judicial review. And this is obviously going to help his case that they're using fraudulent documents.
So you're doing something very interesting, Matthew. You're running for police commissioner. Tell me how that came about and what you're doing, because I've seen some video clips which I'll insert into this of you not being very popular with the police when you turned up at their commissioner meeting.
Yeah, I've got
1906 Act, right?
Yeah, but ask some questions, okay?
Yeah, asking questions as long as it's, but I don't think that's a forum for that today, okay? So I will be arrested if you start disrupting, okay? I know my powers.
Oh, no, mine is also.
Yeah, fabulous.
Yeah, we do have the right to freedom of speech in this country, don't we?
Yeah, you do. Yeah, you
Okay,
do.
so
But
they have to
there
take that into
are also laws for disrupting public meetings,
Yeah, but-
okay? And if you do that, you will be arrested.
I promise I will raise my hand before asking a question.
Okay,
How's that?
that's fine.
And then I've got my freedom of speech. Because we've got major problems within the police force.
Okay. As I said, if it starts to get disruptive, it disrupts the meeting, you will be arrested.
It hasn't started yet.
Right?
So,
Okay. No, disrupt the meeting.
Yeah.
I will be arresting. All right.
Yeah, it wouldn't be very good if a candidate got arrested in a public meeting for asking a question, would it?
Well, no, we wouldn't.
It wouldn't be
But
at all.
if it's evident you're disrupting the meeting.
Oh no, I will
Yeah.
remain quiet. I'll put my hand up to ask a
They
question.
love us.
Yeah.
They always send welcoming guests. We have welcoming guests every time we go to anywhere.
They've dealt with me for the last 4 years, probably on 3 or 4 times a day. Done DSARs to the police, and there's been probably 7 or 8 police officers that have been put to monitor us. And through the DSARs, they've admitted that they've gone back to the chief inspector and said, "Can we be taken off the case? We can't deal with these people." So they really, really don't like us. And I thought, well, the only way, police commissioner employs one person at the police station, and that is the chief of police. And he has the power to sack the chief of police. So if we can raise the deposit, which we will.
£1 from 5,000 people, please.
Well, I was going to send you a tenner, so that's a little bit towards it.
We've got several people that are doing more as well.
But if I can become the crime commissioner, I can then call the chief of police into the office, ask him why he's not investigating these crimes. Has he got a valid reason? If he doesn't open a full criminal investigation in Gloucestershire into the actions of the council, the people that jabbed people, and the MP, he will have to either resign or be sacked for non-feasance in a public office, not doing something he should have done, and professional negligence. So they are really, really, really not happy with us at the moment.
I don't know why.
You get a normal person who is in charge of the chief constable, and he can dismiss the chief constable if they don't do their job. So every chief constable, I'd imagine, is getting worried when the elections come round that someone like me might stand. And the job of the commissioner is to be the voice of the people and to hold the police accountable for their actions. So I'm perfect for that job. My father was actually a police officer as well.
Ah, okay. So you really do know how it all works.
But what has happened in the past like 3 or 4 weeks for us is just banging at the door for a while, and Matty's way of dealing with like sort of the legal side of things and learning the difference between civil and criminal as well. That's made an important difference. And I've learned a lot from him and from other people within common law and people like Hannah as well that have been dealing with this sort of stuff. And it is, for all of us, a learning experience.
Okay, well, I'll send you a tenner when we get off this, and then we can test it's working. And I'll put the link out.
In there as well. Again, we'll freeze it at £5,000, so that's where we've got the money to do it.
Yeah,
we're probably going to do another one for fundraising on the same platform to like do promo and shit like that. But nobody's going to make any money off it.
No,
it's all going to be, everything will be documented, and that if we get the deposit back, it will be going to Gaza for genocide victims, for Gaza relief aid, food.
Which you only have to get 5% of the overall votes to get your deposit money back.
Okay, so when is this happening? When do you need people to send you money by?
ASAP.
Yes.
Yeah. Even if they can send £1, whatever else, but they know that at the end of the day, the money is going to go to a cause that is the most valid cause in the world at the moment, I suppose.
So do please donate to Matthew and get him elected as the next Police Commissioner of Gloucester. I think that would be highly entertaining, to say the least, as well as actually get the right people held to account in the right way. When did you first start going to the council?
We went over to a few in Cheltenham with Steve, probably only 4 or 5 months ago.
Okay, so you've not been doing it that long, because Karina went back last night and it was our 1-year anniversary of going along with speeches. So you've been, it cut out a bit there. Did you say 5 months you've been doing this?
5, 6 months. I've been going to the meetings, yeah. Steve and a few other people have been going longer.
So was 5G what you started on, or did you go into the council on other things to begin with? How did you get going?
COVID. Obviously questioned the safety and efficacy of the vaccines with my doctor. And after 23 years of being my doctor, I was struck off from the surgery. I applied to take the Director of Public Health to court for fraud for saying it was safe and effective, the head of the clinical care group, because they were the logistics behind injecting the children. And there was 3 or 4 people I tried taking to court. And the courts just refused to accept it. And if a judge refuses to accept it, you can appeal and they have to listen to your evidence. And the courts just said, no, flat out, we will not let you present any evidence.
Wow.
So it's come out in the COVID inquiry that the courts were told not to take on any cases that went against the government narrative. So the whole idea of the judiciary being independent of the government is a total lie. We know that the government, through the COVID inquiry, told the judiciary do not let any cases go to court. And that's not just England, that's worldwide, isn't it?
Wow. That just shows how corrupted the system is. Is there? I haven't been following that particularly closely. Is there going to be any comeback to the judiciary for doing this, or because they should be, as you say, independent from the government? That's the whole point of them. Yeah,
I have filed cases now against HMCTS for fraud, so we have to wait and see how that one goes.
Who are HMRCSS?
His Majesty's Courts and Tribunal Services.
Ah, okay.
I was in court Monday for council tax, and because we're classed as dissidents, if you like, instead of it being a magistrate's court, they got a higher judge in who, when I went to the court building, I said I need to speak to the legal advisor, and the woman, who I know quite well, went off and said, yeah, that's not a problem. And she spoke to the judge. She came back and said, the judge has said you're not allowed to speak to the legal advisor, which is a breach of the Magistrates' Court Act, and breach of Article 6 of the European Convention on Human Rights, which is the right to a fair, transparent, honest trial. So I went to the court. I didn't go in the court. I opened the door, told him he was acting corruptly, and said, I cannot, will not, and never will consent. I thank you for your offer coming into the court, but I can't consent because you're not following due process. He got up and walked out the back of the court and asked security to remove me. I'd already printed out 2 copies of a notification of a void order explaining that they hadn't followed due process, because I knew they wouldn't. Asked the court to sign it, which the lady did. Copy for them, copy for me. And they've now gone back to Parliament to see how they can deal with it, because a notification of void order can't be overturned by even the Supreme Court. No one can overturn it. If you can prove, the only way you can do it is go back to trial and you prove that it was a biased case, which obviously it is.
So what happens from here?
Well, I applied to, I done a DSAR, data subject access request, to His Majesty's courts, and said, can you tell me in the last 30 years, has there ever been a warrant, a liability order, or a summons issued in my name? And they've replied and said, no, there hasn't been. So when the council tell you they've got a summons and they've got a liability order, they're lying. There is no summons, there is no liability order. It's a council process. Basically, you can't pay your tax or council tax. The 1st of March this year, the Veterans Minister was in Afghanistan, an inquiry into why British soldiers were shooting civilians, women and children that were unarmed. On the 8th of March, 5 soldiers from Hereford got arrested for shooting civilians in Syria. So that's acts of terrorism. And the suppression of terrorism law, which is international and British as well, says you cannot give money, ask for money, or take money if you suspect any of that money could be used for terrorist activities, which obviously the British government are some of the biggest in the world.
Right, you're going to be careful now because their YouTube channel might be actually destroyed.
Well, I don't disagree with you, but I might have to edit that. We'll see. We'll see what happens. But well, yeah, actually, no, it's a fair enough claim because they've got to prove they haven't. The tricky part is because we work with the peacekeepers a bit, and they've said that yes, everyone suspects that council tax goes to a consolidated fund, but they haven't found the evidence to prove it. Everyone thinks it does. Have you got a trail? How have you been able to prove it?
No, it's just from what the peacekeepers have said that there's
a good reason why the councils are going bankrupt, because if that much
mismanagement.
Yeah, well, it's mismanagement definitely, but also we were speaking to the managing director when we went to the last meeting. They're just sitting there smiling at us. It's just
we asked him for an honest answer, and he just looked up and said, I won't give you an honest answer.
Wow. Well, at least that part was honest.
Yeah.
We're getting away with it, but they're not getting away with it now. They're actually realising that they are personally liable.
Yeah.
So are they liable once, because you said 9 have quit, are they liable for decisions they have made when they're a councillor after they've quit?
Only MPs are not. Tony Blair's not liable for being. I can't use the word that I want to use in connection with that guy's name. In office, MPs are not liable for what they do, but councillors are.
They have to follow the rules and regulations. So
but even when they've quit, decisions they've made in the past, they're still liable for.
Personally liable.
Yeah. If you're just say you're a boiler engineer and you leave a gas leak and blow a house up, and you quit your job, but people have been injured in the explosion, you're still liable for that explosion, aren't you? With my court cases, one of them was just a random. We had a cyber attack in Gloucester, and the council didn't tell anyone. So remember, EasyJet had a cyber attack and lost all people's data, and everyone that complained was given about £2,500. So I said, well, this is exactly the same with the council. They had a cyber attack and they didn't tell anyone that their data had been breached.
Did they notify the ICO? Because it's they did. So okay,
they notified them, but they should still notify. They're the data. They should still notify us.
Yes.
And they didn't.
It should be part of their compliance with the ICO.
Yeah. So I said, well, I'm going to sue you for £3,000 then. And they've written to me today and said, we're confident we'll win, our client's confident we'll win, but would you like to discuss an out-of-court settlement? And it's like, if you're confident you're going to win, why would you be offering to settle out of court? So what? Yeah,
it's a lot of money to become a police commissioner. That doesn't seem the right system. Have they justified why it's £5,000?
But George,
that's to stop people like us.
Yes, of course. But what's their justification?
But George Bernard Shaw said, you know, if it was George Bernard Shaw, if they thought that giving the working man the vote was going to change anything, then they wouldn't give him the vote.
Yeah.
And but what they do is whereas we can stand as councillors, which we are, we're both going to stand as councillors, and there's a good chance we're going to.
With them all resigning, there's a good chance that
if we can keep it going as we are.
There's about 6 or 7 independents in Gloucester now standing.
Yeah.
How many councillors do you have in Gloucester overall? Because we've got 51 in Colchester.
We've got about 30 or 40 around this area, I think.
Yeah.
But we've got we're doing Cheltenham, we're doing around this area. I mean, my local councillor has been rinsing it for years, but just type your local councillor's name into Companies House and find out what limited companies they've been involved in the past in his career.
That's a good idea. Because we've put the council itself through Companies House, but yeah, we hadn't actually done the individual councillors yet.
Do the individuals. My local councillor is connected to Gloucester City Homes, which is a limited company. He's also connected to Gloucestershire City Airport, which has had a lot of planning going through it and everything else. We all know that the whole system's corrupt and it is a club. And we all know that none of us want to be politicians. I mean,
no, I was quite happy till they shut the pubs.
Yes.
I didn't want to get involved.
And I'm a granddad and I want to be left alone. You know, it's just like I've had a good life, but now I want to get involved. And there's a lot of people like us around the country.
Good. And will you be standing as independents, I take it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Have you heard of the Love Party?
Yes, I have. Rachel Elner.
Yes, because they're not actually going to be a political party, but they're helping all the independents now, aren't they?
Yeah, didn't she say she decided she wasn't going to run in the end because she thought it was too corrupt or something? I haven't watched her latest video. Yeah.
I've only just, like, in the last couple of weeks, got in touch with them, and they seem brilliant. They're really, 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 really nice.
But the movement is, if we start the grassroots and we take over the local bits, then we can start thinking about the council elections. I don't believe in any party system. I don't believe in any pyramid system.
Anything they're trying to implement.
We also had in Gloucester about 6 months ago, somebody put a freedom of information to find out who was connected to any secret societies.
Ooh, where did that go into the council?
Yeah.
Ooh,
and
that's a good one.
the council, this is how bad it is, yeah? The freedom of information was closed down because the council voted on it to find out whether or not they should actually disclose whether or not they were part of the apron wearing line.
Wow.
And they voted against it.
Surprisingly.
That's a really good one. If everybody writes to their local council as Freedom of Information Act. I mean, there's several of ours gone missing. Like I forget which ones it is now, but Sharon's got a list of them. But there's some they just seem to lose, and others they send back quite quickly. So yeah, that's a really good one. So I mean, we've been doing this a whole year now, as I said, and we're getting to the point where it moves along slowly, like they've agreed to a net zero debate, but we're never quite getting a date. They're still discussing the EVs. And I'm getting sick to death of going in, to tell you the truth.
Yeah.
What would is there anything sort of, because we can see these EVs are a fire hazard, they're polluting the environment, they're not listening to us. So we've done it the nice way. Is there a more forceful approach we can take legally or lawfully to get them taken off the street? What would you do in our position?
I've got a document for you if you want it, and I'll give it to Matty. And it's I've managed to get it from the London Fire Brigade. It's a paper on the risks and hazards of scooters, electric vehicles, and everything else. I'll send it to Matty, and I'll get him to send it to you.
Yes, please.
I can't tell you where I've got it from
Fair enough.
And if there's any names on it, you've got to block them off.
Will do.
But it is from the London Fire Brigade. It is a document, a paper that was written about a month ago, and it should basically knock EVs out of the water because they're worth nothing. There's no recycle. It's like green energy. It's no bullshit.
It's a con.
Yeah, everything is a scam. But everybody that's involved in this is taking something from it. This is why they're running like rats out of Gloucester City Council. 9 councillors and the compliance officer, because what we're doing here is we're not treating them like a council. We're treating them like individuals. And we're saying, you are personally liable.
Yeah.
Well, we tried that with ours, but it just seems they go a bit pale and then they just carry on regardless. They're not really taking it seriously because it's like, well, okay, where do we go? Have we got to wait till one of these things catches fire? Because we'd rather get them out of Colchester before that happens.
Yeah. Make them personally liable.
Well, we have gone in and said that, but have you actually served a written notice or have you just given them a verbal notice?
We have sent them a document saying you are because you haven't followed due process and you've used fraudulent
this is for 5G you're on about. Rather than the EVs. The EVs is a different situation. What's the risk assessment? Now, if I send you this document, which you will get in the next couple of days or tomorrow, then you have a document that is provided by the fire service to say that these things are not safe.
Yeah.
Then you can use that and say, right, there's the evidence. This is from the London Fire Brigade or Fire Service. And you can say, that's what they're saying. And you are doing that and make them all personally liable.
Yeah. You give them a cease and desist notice, tell them to stop. If they don't stop, then they become personally liable.
Okay, cease and desist. Right. Okay, we'll do that.
That's what we've done to Gloucester Council. And in the last 2 months, we've had 3 councillors die and 9 have resigned.
We didn't kill the councillors.
Yeah, just for clarity, it wasn't you.
We didn't kill them. Which the funny thing about that, which I know it's not funny, it's awful, but
the unfortunate thing about that.
I've spoke to the Bishop of Gloucester about COVID and said, look, it's a scam. You need to warn the congregation.
I need to get some more wine, Rachel. Sorry.
And she literally ran away from me.
Glass.
She literally ran away from me saying, it's not the jabs, it's not the jabs. So I spoke to my local vicar and said, why isn't the church warning people? This is a scam. This is going to injure and kill people. And she said, well, we've been told that it's not. And when the 3 councillors died within a month, they got my local vicar to come to the council meeting to say a prayer for them. And she walked in, saw us got there, and she wouldn't even make eye contact. She literally stood up, started reading the prayer, and as she was halfway through, another councillor collapsed and passed out on the floor.
Oh my word.
So they had to take him out. And then as soon as she finished the prayer, she folded the Bible up and she was gone. So we've been round to see her again and said, look, you need to speak out. This is wrong. You're supposed to be a woman of God and you're not. You're not standing up for the people. So even the church, we had the document where the government and the council were saying we have to get religious leaders, community leaders to tell the people that they should have the jobs. So the corruption is just unbelievable, and they still won't admit there's a problem, will they?
No. It's unfortunate at this stage when there's so much evidence that people have a chance to redeem themselves a little bit and they're not taking it.
No, you only have to look at the amount of football players. There's over 2,000 football players in the last 2 years. And football players aren't unhealthy people.
Yeah, you have to be.
There's over 2,000 that have collapsed with heart problems in the last 2 years. In the last 60 years, there's never been more than 10 sports stars collapsed with heart problems in a live environment. And there's been over 2. This week, there's been 3 football players collapse, and that tennis player, 21, collapsed. So we know they're not safe, they're not effective, and they're causing harm.
And when the police aren't doing anything about it, and they're getting worried about people like us going for them, then they should be worried. You know, we're not using weapons, we're not causing any violence or any harm. We're just calling them out for not doing their job.
Yeah.
And when when you're supposed to do a job, you're supposed to do a job. If I ask someone to lay a brick wall and they just don't do anything and leave the bricks in a pile, and that's what the police are doing at the moment. They're not investigating the crimes that we've told them about. And we actually gave them the ICC complaint in 2021, annaRoseLaw.co.uk, the ICC complaint. Oh, the country is now, we spent, when Jeremy Corbyn asked for $2 billion for the NHS, do you remember that?
Mm-hmm.
Boris Johnson laughed at me in Parliament and said, $2 billion? Where's the magic money tree? Well, we spent $37 billion on track and trace. Has anybody done any track and trace on where the $37 billion's gone?
No.
That lady, whatever, Mona, whatever her name was.
Monot, whatever, yeah.
Yeah, in House of Lords. Why isn't she in jail? There are people in jail years ago that didn't pay their TV licence and did 6 months in jail. And they were mums, of single mums of children because they didn't pay a TV licence. And we've got a system now where somebody can get away with £2 million worth of fraud and they are still going... And when you know somebody is wrong, you know, when you see a bully in a playground and you just go up to them and say, nah, you're not bullying us. You're not bullying anybody anymore. We're all ganging together now and we've had enough of you. That's where we are.
It is worldwide. People are standing up and saying, no, this is wrong. We've got the Irish Prime Minister resign this week.
Yeah, but
there's lots of people in positions of so-called power that know what's coming. They're leaving in droves.
Trouble is, with the police not taking these complaints and doing their job properly, the judiciary not doing things, it does make it difficult. So, and you know, you're going the extra mile by going to be the running as police commissioner. But I mean, are we going to have to do that up and down the country? Is that how we're going to have to make change?
Yeah,
I think it's a good way to do it because it worries them. My son's 17 and he was gobsmacked. He come home last night and he goes, Dad, you're on TikTok. And I was like, well, I haven't posted anything. And he goes, no, that video of you in the council meeting, he said it's got over 20,000 views on TikTok.
Brilliant.
He's 17. He wants to be on TikTok with thousands of views. And he goes, who's listening to two old farts like you? Well, people are waking up. So...
this is our job.
If 20,000 people have viewed it and they chuck in 25p each, that's enough.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I think we've had 7,000 people on the Gloucester Council Watch channel view it. It's been a very popular video. And I don't know if you've read the comments, but so many people were impressed by what you did in Gloucester.
Yeah. We're loving it.
You're not on Telegram, are you?
Yeah.
Yeah? Colchester Council Watch?
No, I've got a hidden group that people that have set up there. I can send you the link. You can come and join us.
Yeah.
And are you going to do a YouTube channel with all of your escapades?
Yeah, we've got. I've set up a studio in the backyard. It's just built, but I'm just waiting for the electrics to go in it. So,
and are you going to call it Gloucester Council Watch or something similar?
I don't know.
When you've got your channel set up, send it to me, regardless of what you call it. I'll promote it on the channel and link to it. And you're welcome to join our Telegram group, and we can share information.
We've got an IT bloke who's on side as well, and so we've bought all the audio kit and all that sort of shit. So we're going to do an hour a week. We're going to do an hour a week where it's just going to be me and him talking nonsense. And we'd love you to come on as one of the first ones if you could.
Yeah, I'd be delighted to. So
and we'll probably get banned off YouTube within probably a couple of weeks. But then we're going to get a .com sorted out.
Yeah, well, I've got my channel backed up on Odyssey, and it does it automatically. So every video is on Odyssey as well as YouTube. So if I do get struck down, but, you know, we word things in a way that I don't really see how they can. But you know, we'll see what happens with the next government that gets in, because then I may well be struck off. But until then, we'll just keep sharing the information.
Yeah, I'm just
between us, we've got plenty of contacts we can send you to.
Yeah, likewise. If you need climate scientists and various, that's the one thing about when these videos go viral, you end up in contact with people that you wouldn't normally end up in contact with. So it's very, very useful. Yeah. I suspect that you're not going to be a popular chappie when you get in.
No, but I've got God on my side.
Yeah, we have God on our side.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
we're on the right side of history. That's what we need to know.
Yeah.
I'm friends with a group of Californian nuns who message me about once a month for an update and say, we pray for you all the time, you'll be fine, don't worry. You
Good.
can't worry about it, can you? You've got to do what's right.
Yeah, you can't have fear. There's no point in having fear.
Never religious before, but we've got a friend, Jeremy, who's been very religious all his life. And he says, Matt, you're not in the right position for this. Someone's obviously guiding you to do this because you're just a plumber from Gloucester that's taking on the cabal. So it's not you. Something guiding you anyway.
I think us all, because, you know, a lot of the people that are doing this type of work, you know, it's not something you'd normally or would ever imagine yourself doing.
I hated. I was always the quiet, shy one. I hated public speaking.
Snap.
Even giving a wedding or anything like that. It was like proper shaking. And now I walk into a council meeting with no notes or anything and just call them out. So
Although I still need my notes because I'm not concise speaker when it comes to stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, I've avoided public speaking my entire life as well. I'm usually the quiet one that sits at the back. But I wish I enjoyed this as much as you two. I hate it. I'm counting seconds till I don't have to do this.
Rachel, the work you're doing and how eloquent you are and your crew is just brilliant, man. And what you've done is and when you come to things like UK Column and stuff, who I followed for about 7 or 8 years, you know, when they've gone against child abuse and everything else, and I love those guys. I've always loved them. But when you've gone on there and the stuff that you've done, you've given people that wouldn't talk out a lot more strength to actually go, I'm going to fucking do it. Excuse my language, but I'm going to do it. You know, I'm going to go. I'm going to go out and meet other people, and I'm going to do it. I'm going to stand in the park, and all those things that were started off. And we're getting there, and we're getting the first demonstrations in London that I went down to. They were all women your age.
Were they in cardigans? Middle-aged women in cardigans. That's what we joke we are.
But they were just turning around to me and say, "Where are all the boys? Where are the men?"
Yeah.
And it was mainly middle-aged women that were out there going and saying, "Where is everybody?" But there was a few people down there. There was the people that started stand up, and that was Nacho, and Fiona was part of that as well. And I've watched them grow, and the power that's in them, they have no fear at all. And there is no fear. You don't need to fear the police. You don't need to fear the government. You don't need to fear anything. All you need to do is know who you are.
Yes.
And be strong with who you are.
I think that part is more important than any result. Yeah, I mean, courage is contagious, and that's what it's all about. And I think what is so powerful about this is it's ordinary people standing up. And I think that is one of the most important parts. It's not going to help us if someone else, regardless of who it is, comes along and saves us. We've got to do it. And because that's the only thing that will break this cycle, is ordinary people claiming their power back and standing up.
I meet a guy every Friday at my local old boy, and hates the doctor, hates the government. He goes, and I said, I've got to go speak to Rachel later this evening. And he carried on, doesn't listen to you, he just carries on waffling, and he goes, I tell you what, you need to speak to that Colchester council lady.
Good man, good man.
He's great.
What's his name?
That Colchester council lady. His real name's John Klein.
Hello, John.
John, you will absolutely make his. He said if I knew that you were speaking to Rachel, I would come round just to say hello.
Oh, bless him. Well, bring him next time. Hello, John. I'm glad you're watching the channel, and keep up annoying people. It's good for your health. Well, thank you so much for your time tonight, gentlemen. It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you, and I look forward to meeting you at some point soon. All right, take care and very good luck with your running for commissioner, and I'll send you the video as soon as it's done.
Rachel, it's been funny as fucking brilliant. Thank you.
Good night.
Viva la revolution.
Indeed. Bye. So if you'd like to set the public amongst the police, do support Matthew in his bid to become the Police Commissioner. So many thanks Matthew and Johnny for their time and their information. It's been enlightening. Now I've got a really busy week this week, but I will endeavour to get that Sudbury video done for you by the weekend-ish, maybe. Anyway, I will do it as soon as I physically can. So until next time, take care. Bye-bye. For some reason, the police don't seem overly keen on Matthew's presence, and they don't seem overly pleased about having him be their next police commissioner. I can't imagine why. After all, his experience as a plumber should help him fix all the leaks in the system.